Welcome to a new edition of the Neon Jazz interview series with veteran jazz singer Allyson Briggs. We caught up with her to talk about her new 2024 CD, Promises, Prayers, and Raindrops, as she sings Burt Bacharach. This Fleur Seule Founder has been a dynamic band leader and businesswoman in Manhattan for over a decade. In addition to leading her own band, she has been on hundreds of public and private events around the world each year. She serves as an entertainment consultant to cruise lines, event planners, and multiple Times Square hospitality teams. It's a great story. Enjoy.
Hey, thank you for taking a minute out for the show today. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So before we get into your latest album, I'd like to know, 4 years ago we were trying to figure out this pandemic, and it melted away all the shows and really kind of altered the way that we live our lives and the way artists make music. And I'm curious how you survived that time period and how it either influenced this album or changed the way that you do things now.
Well, it was very challenging, as I'm sure most people know now, especially for artists, because we were not really deemed essential, which we found was kind of a bad judgment call because we are essential. A lot of people needed music to get them through this very difficult and depressing era. It was very challenging to find a way to kind of totally pivot. We're used to being in person, live, and what in the world are we going to do to get through this? Because Zoom it was not cutting it. As we all learned, there's just no way to really do a great concert on there with more than one person. So what I ended up doing was creating kind of like a twice a week, Wednesday and Friday night live stream where I would just go live, and I put together some music with my musicians. I had them record tracks for me that I could sing, because I also found out if you don't do that, Facebook and Instagram will mute you and will take down your video. So I had them create tracks for me so I could go live and sing and chat with everybody and connect. And that is a way that actually I met so many thousands of people over the course of a few months, and I'm still meeting people today at my shows who say that they found me through that live stream. So it ended up being very cool. But to answer the other part of your question, I think the other way it has changed how we do music now is the hybrid aspect of it has remained. They're still doing a lot of lives, from the gig, or a lot more video content, or creators, are expected to do a lot more now than we were 4 years ago. So I've definitely had to step up my production game in terms of all that. But during this time that we had nothing else to do, it allowed me to dive into this repertoire. I happened upon Close to You. That was the first song that kind of took me down the rabbit hole. And I had the luxury of time to just dive into this world of Burt Bacharach's music. So that was one of the blessings that came out of that time, was just a chance to really explore and listen to all of his work.
Yeah, I'm here in Kansas City. I had no idea that Burt originally was from here in Kansas City, which was kind of a nice surprise recently.
Mm-hmm. Well, we like to claim him as a New Yorker, though.
I get that. And same thing with Burt. Burt started in Kansas City, but he's obviously, his star shines brightest in New York. So I totally get that. So at the end of the day, what do you want the audience to get from your interpretation of this master's work?
The goal with this album was to put something out there right now that is very joyful, uplifting, something positive, something that's highlighting great work in a fresh way. I don't think it's really been re-recorded in a long time. So we wanted to kind of put our fresh take on it, and instead of doing a studio orchestra, we did it as a quintet, which was incredibly challenging. But I thought that would allow the lyrics from Hal to shine through even more, and it would highlight the complexities of Burt's arrangements in a different way. But I wanted people to, have that nostalgia or discover it for the first time. Many of my fans, they're discovering this music for the first time, and just to keep that repertoire going, but in our own kind of fresh way that we did it.
So, Allyson, let's go back to the beginnings here. How did this journey into the music, and more specifically jazz, how did it begin and take hold for you?
Well, I've kind of always been an old soul. This is the music that really has always spoken to me, and the place that we were in terms of entertainment, and kind of I would say the 20s through the 70s is really where I connect the most with music, with pop culture, fashion. It's just who I am as a person, and it suits my voice very well, the styles and the way that music was. And I also, there's something about the way that songs were written and lyrics were written that just speaks to me way more than it does with like very modern contemporary stuff. But so I was into this music as a little kid. Like, this is what my parents played in the house. We always listened to a mix of things from, Frank Sinatra and the Andrews Sisters to the golden hits of the Carpenters, and, kind of all these different styles of classic music, like in that 20s to 70s era. So that really started very young for me. And as I met people in New York, I came to go to NYU, and I just started meeting musicians. It's kind of like if you give a mouse a cookie. If you meet one musician, then you're going to meet another, and he's going to have a friend that he recommends, and then there's going to be another musician, and suddenly you have a band. So that's kind of how it rolled. And then 10 years later, I've had this band going. So it kind of naturally progressed after that.
Well, what was the first live jazz show that you saw with your own eyes that blew you away?
I remember going to Birdland and seeing the Birdland Big Band led by Tommy Igoe on drums, and I was probably 16. I went on a trip with my mom because we would drive up from Pennsylvania to go see Broadway shows, and to, what was I doing? I was like auditioning for some things. I was taking dance classes and acting classes. We would just kind of drive up and do all these things in a day or two and then drive back. And I remember it made a big impression on me to see and hear that show many years ago, that the big band. It was really thrilling, and that really made an impression on me.
So growing up loving this music and seeing these stages in New York, was there a stage that you dreamed that you would play on, and when you finally did, you were like, wow, I can't believe I'm here? Yes,
it's Carnegie Hall for sure. I'm still, when I think about it, kind of go, wow, did that really happen? I performed there in 2022, and that is definitely like the bucket list of all items. It was, I didn't really think about it so seriously, because I was like, I don't know, Carnegie Hall would be wonderful, but is that really going to happen? You don't want to get your hopes up, but it did. I got an invitation from the ever gracious Michael Feinstein, who has become a dear friend, and he gave me kind of the debut opportunity of my lifetime. So that definitely was my biggest highlight to date.
Well, what is it, after all of this time, that gets you up every morning out of bed to do the music, to evolve as an artist? What is that drive for you?
For me, it's creating an experience for people that gets me excited, because not to sound like an old fart, but I feel like I look at pop culture and current music and I just go, oh my gosh, like what is this? In general, there are some artists who shine through in a beautiful way, but in general, I just feel like I want to inspire people to have this experience that some people remember and some people have never had. That thing where every Friday night, when we're at Tavern on the Green, we see people get up and dance, dance to a live band, put down your phone and meet a stranger and have a lovely time. And just, you don't see that very often anymore. And so I want to expose people to things like that, to beautiful experiences that are very unique now, and memorable, and just encourage people to connect, to enjoy, to remember that, life is short, get off the couch. Let's go enjoy things. Let's go dance and have live music and have a great dinner and, a beautiful night out under the stars at Tavern on the Green. I want to inspire people to just live life to the fullest. That's the ultimate.
So at the end of the day, why do you love jazz?
Well, I would say that is the most authentic expression for me. It's where I found who I am and could communicate most naturally. The songs speak to me the most. And it's just amazing that every time, we've been doing some of these songs for 10 plus years. It's different every time. So that keeps me engaged in it. Just the endless variation that you can have. And they're just great songs. So
I got to know, if you had the chance to get into a time machine and go see a dream show anywhere with anyone performing, where would you go? Who would you see?
Oh, I have a couple. It would definitely have to be Frank at some point. Any point in his career would be interesting. I would have loved to see Ella Fitzgerald kind of at her peak in concert. And Tony Bennett. Tony Bennett would have been incredible to see live. He really, at any point in his career too. So those three, I would say, are. It's a shame that I wasn't able to see them. I was a little young to catch on to those concerts in person.
So, how can people catch you live? What's the best way for them to pick up this new album in the best form, or to catch you live? Any of the good business, where can people go?
Well, I am at Tavern on the Green weekly on Fridays. The best place to see my schedule, though, is my website, which is fleurseule.com. I can share that with you. I keep that pretty well updated. You can also order the album there. It's also available everywhere music is streaming. So if you just look up Promises, Prayers, and Raindrops, that should pop up anywhere you like to listen to music.
Thank you so much for talking about the album, your life, and music. I really appreciate it. It's been wonderful.
Yes, thank you very much for inviting me on. I appreciate it.
Thanks for listening and tuning in to another Neon Jazz interview, where we give you a bit of insight into the finest players and minds in New York, Kansas City, and spots all over the world, giving fans all that jazz. And thanks to Allyson for swinging on by the show. If you want to hear more Neon Jazz interviews, you can find us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Subscribe to us at YouTube, and for everything Neon Jazz, go to theneonjazz.blogspot.com. Until next time, enjoy the jazz, my friends.
Neon Jazz.